down, he said, sit down. These guys are like brothers. We've chatted in the back for a minute, and I'm like, they really like each other. You know when you're so comfortable you can just talk all kind of crap to each other? That's what I've noticed.
We have a lot in common.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
We both have ridiculous names.
Which, why not? Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Sting and Shaggy. Shaggy and Sting. It's awesome. So before we go into all your incredible journey of your music and all your accolades, how did it begin? Like, I know you mentioned that you were a teacher, but how did you know that you wanted to even pursue music?
I think I did. Deep down, I always knew this is how I wanted to make my life, to make my living. But I was smart enough to take my time and be patient. So I got a real job. I taught in a mining village. I voted. I paid tax. I was a father. Then I became a rock star. That was my plan.
Which pays better? I mean.
Yeah, the mine plays better. Shaggy, so what paid better, the rock star or being in the mine?
I wasn't in the mines. I taught the children of miners. Listen.
Oh, hey.
That wasn't me.
Hey.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
We didn't even cue that. We didn't even. Maybe. Hello? Can you guys still hear me? No.
Check. Hey.
You guys are so.
All right.
Yeah, you guys are on fire. You're messing with the technology.
Oh, there y'all are. Nice.
So for you, Shaggy, was music always something important to you, and you were like, I'm going to do this, or how did it come about?
You know, I'm the only person in my family that ever did music, to be honest with you. I had a household that was filled with a lot of music. My grandmother was a big music lover, and we listened. In Jamaica, there was a lot of different style of music in our house, especially on Sundays. There'll be, country music, lots of country music, and along with, a lot of pop music that would come in, and soul music, black music, and then of course, reggae, and funny enough, reggae was not really on major radio stations in Jamaica until years after. So the radio station was very, very mixed music. And that's where I just caught the bug from, of just loving music, because it was, I'm from a poor neighborhood, and my radio was what we had. We didn't have television at the time either, in my household, so, yeah.
And you just heard music and were like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I saw Yellow Man live. I don't know if anybody knows Yellow Man. I saw Yellow Man live at this a place called Skateland in Kingston. And I was a kid. I snuck out and got there. And he walked into the dance when it was really, really packed. He was a main thing. And Yellow Man is this albino dancehall artist who was very popular at the time. And he came in the dance, he grabbed the mic, he spit a couple of lyrics, he walked out, and the whole dance just walked out with him. And I was like, that's what I want. Yeah.
That's what you wanted.
That's what I wanted.
To take the club with you. And you have, Shaggy.
I have.
And you have. And we're grateful for it.
Many times.
That's right. So Sting, who were your influences growing up as far as your musical influences?
My mother was a piano player, and my father sang, and when they weren't fighting, they would perform together. Wow. It wasn't very often that they sang together. But I remember my mom bringing in, it must have been 1957, I was 6. She brought in a 78 of Elvis singing All Shook Up. She put it on, and I went into a catatonic fit, rolling on the floor. You know this in the movie Elvis, the new thing?
Yes.
When he goes to the church and he has this fit? That was me. This is the most exciting thing I'd ever heard in my life. I knew there was something magical happening to me, and it's still the same.
Wow. That's amazing. Are you guys worried about the sound situation? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
He said we're an ocean way.
Yeah.
Handheld?
Do we have any other microphones?
Yeah, if we have handhelds, that will work.
I don't mean to
I
cause
don't know,
that.
my voice kind of...
Perfect. This guy rolls with the punches. Well, I guess we'll keep going. We'll keep trying until we figure it out. So, Shaggy, you've been through a lot in your life. You immigrated to New York, lived in Brooklyn. You did 2 tours of Desert Storm. My goodness. Oh, right? Incredible. Incredible. And how do you feel those life experiences have shaped who you are as an artist and what you want to sing and talk about?
I always said that being in the military was what prepared me for music. Yeah. Nothing could prepare you for that, trust me. But it really prepared me because, you know, especially in doing dancehall music, reggae music, which the genre wasn't really a major genre, we had to do the legwork to really get whatever you're putting out to go on radio. And that simply means you got to get up early in the morning, you know, if 5, 6 o'clock, do the morning show, then, you know, in the day, the drive time, then at night you're going to do the club gig and start that all over. And sometimes you're on different continents doing that. And it's that kind of work ethic, you know, to really be there. You know, I always said I won and gotten this far because I always show up before or on time. And Sting always comes. Since I met Sting, he comes with this whole thing where it's like, if you're on time, you're late. You know, because that's that school teacher shit, you know. But
my school teacher said the same thing to me. She said if you're early is on time, and if you're on time, you're too late, and too late is unacceptable.
But I've always been, but the military really prepared me for that, and I was always on time, and it really helped me in doing doing music with itself, and it really put me in that position to where, like, okay, I had to really work. To me, in my genre, 10 times harder than the average genre, because I didn't have all, you know, the amenities that the other genres would have.
That's a word. I mean, you have to really, like, you have to work hard for what it is that you want.
I think in anything you do.
Yes,
yeah, you know,
absolutely.
you have to have passion. If you're not passionate about it, you
Right.
you know.
So in your life experiences, did that shape what joy in the music that you wanted to bring to?
Music came easy for me. To be honest with you, when I went to Erasmus Hall in Brooklyn, and if anyone know that school, was the second oldest high school in the U.S. And a lot of great artists come from out of there. Funny enough, but you know, reggaeton actually started from out of Erasmus Hall, because there's a guy called El General who used to be there, and him and I would be on different lunch benches, you know, and so I had the Jamaican cliques, and they would beat the bench, and I just spit lyrics, and they'd beat bench, he spit it in Spanish. And I did it, you know, and I just talked about girls, you know, hair, shoes, bag, everything, and I get numbers, and I was like, this is so cool.
Motive.
You know?
You gotta have a motive.
Yeah, and I wish I could tell you there was something else deeper why I got into music, but bro.
We're inspired in all ways.
Woo!
It'll do it. It'll do it. So as far as a particular song for each of you, is there something that is like your favorite song you've ever recorded, you've ever written, that you still are excited to perform? I'm sure all of your...
You know, my favorite Shaggy song is It Wasn't Me, because actually it's a morality tale.
There you go.
We like this, okay.
He's not wrong. I mean, some of you just listen to the song and think it's a cheating song. It's an anti-cheating song.
Oh, tell us,
Yes,
tell us.
because at the end of the record it says, but you never listen down to it because some of you are too busy getting drunk and partying to it. And, you know. But as you get down to the end, it says, I'm gonna tell her that I'm sorry for the things that I've done. You may think that you're a player, but you're completely lost.
Wrong. Yeah.
Well, you know, so it's redeeming, you know.
We once performed it in a Presbyterian church in Germany.
And people were saved.
We were guests of the chaplain there, and I had to explain that it was actually a biblical morality story. So,
What's with it about us talking about it wasn't me in churches?
Yeah. Because it's about morality. It's just full circle at this point.
about morality.
And
Yeah.
what about your favorite song?
Of
You have-
mine?
Yes.
Well, I have a lot of songs, I have a lot of kids, but I won't say which is my favorite. That was, you know.
Sure, I understand. You can't choose.
It's my job every night to sing a song I may have written 40 years ago as if it was written this afternoon, with the same passion, the same curiosity, and I'm always looking for something incremental that I haven't discovered before. That's what keeps it alive. A song is a living, breathing organism.
Yeah.
It's not a museum piece. So,
Right. It's not even Sunday.
Just so you go to him for all the intelligent answers, by the way.
No, you guys are a double act. You guys.
Yeah, but Fields of Gold. Gee.
I can't even talk about it without tearing up. It's literally one of my favorite songs of all time. And I'm sure you hear that all the time, but Fields of Gold, I mean, forget it.
Amazing.
Forget it. So as far as your songwriting goes, you do so much of it on your own. And Nashville is such a town of co-writing and that communal aspect. How do you songwrite alone and so beautifully? And was that on purpose? Was it because you didn't want to write with anyone
I've
else?
always envied people who had a songwriting partner. Lennon and McCartney. They were constantly playing off each other, competing with each other, and that was one of the engines of their success. But I never actually found that person, and I'm still alone. Isn't it sad? Well, apart from...
He didn't mean that completely, Shaggy. He didn't mean that completely. So,
It's a very private thing, a songwriting
yeah,
thing for me. It's private.
yeah.
So no, I'm not telling you what I do.
Got it. And we can check this one away. Okay. So as far as your collaboration on your incredible reggae album that won a Grammy for the 61st Grammy Awards, whoop whoop. That is like, I mean, to ever think that like, I mean, that's a big deal. I know that, you guys have been there before, but for your album, the 448676867.
So 44 is the era code for Britain,
Right?
and 876 is the era code for Jamaica. So it's from British to Jamaica.
Right.
It's a conversation between two islands.
Absolutely.
That would be famous for music. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And so obviously you've come from reggae and you've been influenced by reggae, but how did you decide to collaborate together? I mean, I know you guys, well, how did you meet to even collaborate?
I met Sting years ago. I think it was 2004. I was in
Antwerp.
What? Where is that?
It's in Belgium.
Got it.
So I was in Antwerp. I was doing a series with me and James Brown and everybody was on this. It's called Night of the Proms, big orchestra and whatnot. So they took one night off because, we had the Coliseum for like a whole month, and then they said we had to break and get a Saturday night off because somebody was coming into town.
Oh.
So I said, well, let me just go check it out. And I got there and I met him and he said, why don't you come on stage and do it was Roxanne. And I jumped on stage and we ripped Roxanne, and then I've never seen him again until years after. And I had a song called Don't Make Me Wait. Martin Kirstenbaum, who was our manager, was Sting's A&R for years at A&M and was also my A&R at Interscope. And just working with us, once Martin started to manage Sting after he left Interscope, Martin and I kept in touch a lot, and he heard me with this song, Don't Make Me Wait, and he sent it to Sting. I'm in LA with Martin doing another song with him, and Sting walks in singing Don't Make Me Wait, and says, come Shaggy, let's sing the song.
Is that your imitation of me?
Wait, Sting, what's your imitation of Shaggy? Don't.
Mr.
Don't.
Bombastic.
So
It's even now. Okay.
So he walks in and started to do the song, and then he says, produce me. I want to do it the way it is done, because this is your genre. And that freaked me out, because I'm looking at it's Sting, for God's sake, asking me about I should produce him. But he made it so easy for me, and we ended up at that point having so much fun in that session that we did more laughing than work, and just decided that we didn't want it to stop. And that just kind of, channeled down into what it became for 4876. Yeah.
A bromance. They actually said that before we stepped out here. You did say.
And
Yeah.
it was a fun kind of, because it started as me just helping him to do a Sting reggae album, because that's what he wanted to do first. And while I'm there, he's like, Shaggy, sing something on this. And I sing something, and I say, and after a while, I'm on like 8 tracks. And I'm like, Martin, this is, you got to take some of this off. And then he comes to me and is like, well, what if I like all of them? And then that's how it became a Sting and Shaggy album. And in the process of doing that, the writing process was a little bit different, because, like he says, it's very personal for him. He will sit with a record and go through a moment there and figure it out. And I'm a little bit more spontaneous, I think. So we set 2 mics up, and we go in, and then I'm like just spitting melodies out on, while the beats are being played, and his process isn't really like that. And then we just, by the time we're done, we have pretty much a song, and then he just fine-tune it afterwards. So it's 2 different methods. But I learned a lot from him on the instrumentation. You want to be in the studio with this guy when he's deciding that he's going to say, I have an idea.
That's a pretty good impression.
When he starts to play, and then he does it, and I was like, wow, that is great. And he says, I have another. And it's about 20 others over and over. Then he comes back and says, I like the first one better. But that's his process, and that's how we go through. Are we getting a handheld now? Oh, there you go.
Check, microphone, check. Chittibang!
Share it.
Really check.
Yeah, we can share this. Yeah.
That's okay. It's fine.
I think yours is working.
I just think people just want to hear from me.
Yeah. Okay, so when you were collaborating and you're making this album together, how did you decide how to edit and what songs that were going to actually make the final album? How do you?
Well, when I've done 10 songs, that's it.
Okay, got it. Fair. That's enough. 10 is enough. Got it.
I mean, it's as simple as that.
Oh.
No, we don't finish anything that doesn't have
Sure.
something about it.
Yeah.
And then when it's finished, we do it. I don't have millions of songs in the reservoir in the bank waiting to, see the light of day at all. I'm spent by the end of the album.
And then you just decide, okay. Did you fight over any songs? Did you
No,
want?
no, everything went so smooth.
No.
And I tell you what was the thing about it too. I work like in the middle of the night. We come in at 11 o'clock. He forced me to do this, by the way. So I get in at like 11 o'clock in the morning, which is, like regular working hours.
Office hours.
Yeah. And by 6
9 to
o'clock,
5.
he's like, okay, I'm done. I'm like, okay. I'm used to like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, just keep going and, But in doing it like that, it actually makes you more creative because you're waking up with a fresh mind and just having that energy. And then I had to keep up with him, so that was pretty good.
I mean, I had to get back and cook dinner. So,
Yeah.
Do you cook, Sting? Do you
No.
cook?
No.
Oh, no. I was like, tell me a recipe. I'm not a great cook. I can bake.
I don't cook.
So, of course, I have to bring up your incredible song, Every Breath You Take, because everybody has to ask you about that. But I know that it wasn't written as a love song, and so many people interpret it that way. Is it something that still is exciting because everybody else finds it to be such a beautiful and exciting song, or?
That song is very ambivalent or ambiguous. Some people have a romantic interpretation of what it's about. Some people have a very dark interpretation, but I never take sides there.
Right.
I think it makes the song richer if it's both. The song was written on the island of Jamaica.
Yes.
In a place called
Rockabissa.
Golden Eye, which was the house of Ian Fleming. And I sat at his desk where he wrote all the James Bond novels. And this character came to me. And of course, James Bond is a character who is both, he's our man, but he's also quite dangerous. And so there's an ambiguity about the voice. And so I think the song's power, and there's nothing particularly original in that song, except it has that ambiguous nature. And so that's its power.
Yeah, open to interpretation. I mean, that's music is, right?
James
Always.
Bond was Jamaican, by the way. I'm just saying.
I
Y'all
mean-
laughing. This is real.
Wait, Shaggy, seriously?
James Bond is Jamaican.
Tell us.
Ian Fleming, right, who wrote the James Bond novel. It was loosely based off his gardener, he had 2 housekeepers, and the gardener was dating both housekeepers. I'm not shitting you, I'm telling you. James Bond, and then the gardener was a bit of a rude boy, because that's
You know what that means, right?
because that's the only
Tell
way
him, Shaggy, what the rude boy
Ian
is.
Fleming could be, as a white guy, you would be living there. So he's a bit of a rude boy. Always drove a beautiful car. Always drove his nice car, well dressed, even as a gardener,
right? And it just made, who told me this story was Chris Blackwell, who now owns GoldenEye. It was a full-on story. And let me tell you, it makes sense. Think about it.
We're buying it.
Think about it, right? Drives a nice car, have multiple women, license to kill, well-dressed, gotta be a Jamaican.
Say no more. Say no more. Gotta be a Jamaican. Yeah, okay, I agree with that. I agree with that. So speaking of provocative, I know we talked about It Wasn't Me. What was the impetus for you to write that?
I saw Eddie Murphy Raw. Did you all see that?
I love these stories.
And he had a skit in the whole thing with Raw where he was like, he got caught. And it was like, she was like, oh, but it's you. And it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And that was the running joke. And I just thought that's a song. And that's how I based it off. And just wrote that whole thing. Because the thing about It Wasn't Me is either you're banging, you know somebody's banging, or you wish you're banging. Very relatable. Years after that, I was in Bahamas, and I think Eddie Murphy's brother was there doing a comedy show. And Eddie was in the VIP, and him and I had a conversation about it, and I was like, yeah, I loosely base it off, you know, your comedy skit. And it's like, well, you owe me royalties, motherfucker. You know, so, but that was what it was. And it was just an infectious record that just caught on, that actually almost didn't make the record because there are people, I mean, there's a big story on it. If you go on YouTube, there's, what was it? I think Vice did a whole documentary on it, how that record got by, because it, like many hit records where people just got it wrong and wouldn't pick a record like that. And that happens a lot in record companies, unfortunately. But, and especially for me, I'm always outside the box. I don't expect anybody to actually figure me out, you know, so, but it was one of those records.
So did you have to fight for that? And you were like, oh no, I'm putting this out regardless, or?
You know, I fought to get it on the album. Mm-hmm. I still didn't have the power to get it to be a single, but I got it on the album. But the single they put out did not work. And a DJ out of Hawaii, I-95, started to play, and within the fifth play, his phone lit up and it wouldn't stop. And it just took off from that point. And the record company was smart enough to jump behind it and be like, okay, we have something here that is crazy. And it was, you know, at one point it was selling, we were selling gold a week, you know, on that album. So it was
incredible.
Very
amazing. So I know they say, like, don't chase the radio, don't chase, you know, what you think people are gonna love, and write what you know and write what you love. Is that where you both come from when you are songwriting?
I can only follow my own curiosity. I can't follow a commercial pattern. I'm just not that kind of musician, you know.
Thank goodness.
No, so I've been very lucky that popular taste has coincided largely with what I've had the instinct to do, or at least it did. Yeah. So, you know, I'm not complaining.
I think that's what we have in common, is the fact that we step outside the box and like doing it, you know. And most of the time when we put it on paper, the ideas that we're going to do, people are looking at us like, what the fuck? You know, I mean, they're blown away by it, and but we get excited over it, you know. And when we did you know, a 44876 on paper, it just didn't look like it would work. But when people see us together, and when people come to the show, it's like, I get it now, you know. And that's always fulfilling.
You know, I think the most important element of music is surprise. I mean, when I listen to a piece of music, if I'm not excited within 4 bars, or surprised within 4 bars, or 8, or definitely by 16, I move on. So when I write music, I want to surprise people with the melody, with the way the harmony works, with the choice of material. I always want to surprise people. And so this has been my biggest surprise in the last 10 years.
Oh.
It's like, Sting and Shaggy, what
Yes.
the good goddamn is that?
We love that. Thank you for that little Southern accent, Sting. We love that. So I know you guys, you're a double act, really. So you want to surprise people. Shaggy, you've surprised us. You continue to surprise us.
Yeah.
And so what's next? What's next for you? I mean, Masked Singer, that was incredible.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Did you enjoy that?
I enjoyed trying to trick everyone. It was cool. Running around with that costume on top
How
of me.
much did it weigh?
It weighed a lot.
Right.
And when we were sitting there picking it, it looked really nice and cute until you realize how the size of this thing that you're putting it on. And then we were running, and then of course Martin is there saying, "Go man, you got this." Yeah. And I'm looking at him like, "You don't have the fucking suit on." You know, but it was after a while I kind of figured out, I was like, okay, we're doing a lot of Caribbean songs at the same time, so kind of giving hints. So it kind of pissed me off that half of them out there, I knew all of them, and they couldn't guess me. And I was like, man, I'm trying to get out of this damn suit. Figure it out already. You know? But it was a lot of fun, and I enjoy a lot of these TV things and doing stuff like that, you know, because it gets me outside of my comfort zone. And whenever I get very comfortable, I feel stagnant until I start to do something that is uncomfortable, and then I try to find comfort outside of that comfort zone, and that's when I know I'm onto something.
Yeah, when they say when it scares you.
Yeah.
Do
Oh
it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
this scares me.
This scares me.
Yeah.
I understand. On the way here, I was like, what am I doing? I'm talking to these gentlemen who have changed my life. Yeah, I get it. And I'm like, okay, just keep pushing through. But so when you don't feel inspired, or you aren't necessarily feeling like it's challenging or it's scary, do you walk away, or do you continue to push through? Like if
I go on tour.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Got it.
There's no
Shake it
thinking
up.
involved in touring. No thinking at all. You get up in the morning, you get in the car, you get in the plane, you go to a gig, you sing, go to the bar, and then go to bed. I love that.
You have your routine.
The actual creative part, sitting facing a blank page, is torture. Of course, it's wonderful when a song is finished, but I avoid it like the plague.
I'm also like, I write a lot of songs. I'm pretty successful at it, but I don't particularly love it. You know what I'm saying? I like the live aspects of it. That's why I like working with him, because then it's not as so intense. You know, it's more, we laugh, and out of that laughter comes something that, you know, that works.
Yeah.
You know, that we both like. But other than that, it's tedious. I'd rather be on tour. Yeah.
Yeah. Songwriting can be scary and tedious, and you're saying with a blank page, it's like, it can be overwhelming. Do you write with a pen and paper? I'm always so curious.
No, right on the computer now.
Yeah.
Because it sort of looks real when it's printed, as opposed to, you know, it's my scrawl.
Right.
But I love finishing a song. It's such a great feeling. And that satisfaction lasts about 20 minutes.
Right.
And then you're anxious again
Right.
to fill a void.
And then have you, either one of you, written a song and recorded a song and were like, because they say art is never finished, it's just abandoned. Are you like, oh, I should have changed that, I should have done this, I should have done that? Or do you leave it as it is in that space and time?
You know, some of the most successful songs I've written were written very quickly. But some of the songs took months, just constant tinkering. Were they any better? I don't know, but that's what it is. So, you know, they're all different. But I don't regret any of the work that I did.
Yeah, no regrets.
No regrets, as they say. No regrets. So, thank you, Major. Thank you. Sorry. Anyway, so about your Songwriter Hall of Fame induction, like, no big deal?
Mine? oh, sorry.
How does that feel? What was that like? Was it something you ever aspired to obtain, or?
I think I was presented the award by Hal David, who was Burt Bacharach's lyricist, you know, so that was a pretty huge deal. No, that was great. Yeah. It was great. I'd forgotten I was in that Hall of Fame, yeah.
You forgot that?
That was a long time ago.
You really forgot that?
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. That's probably, you must have forgotten it, because that's the only thing you haven't shoved in my face. Oh, I have 17 Grammys. Look at this. Ooh, Pause, by the way. I saw it.
18.
18.
Get it right. 18. I'm sorry. It's 18. I had it wrong. 17. So it wasn't anything you were trying to sort of aspire to be in?
No.
No. You're like, just a little cherry on top.
No, it was wonderful, but I did imagine it would ever happen to me. I didn't think of myself that way.
But we talked about it earlier, that you thought like you knew you were going to be doing music and you were going to have this sort of journey.
I knew I had something under the bonnet of the car.
Yes.
I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I knew that I would somehow make my life music.
Wow. Okay. I'm not doing enough, is what I'm saying. So, as far as what is next, or the next opportunity, or what is it that you guys have yet to accomplish that you're like, I really want to do this? I mean, not that it's not been enough. Let me be very clear.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. Just curious
We're
if there's
working
something on a bucket list.
We're working on a new surprise.
Okay.
I thought maybe an opera.
I love that.
Othello.
Perfect.
Me playing
I
Othello.
was going to ask who was going to play Othello.
And Shaggy playing Desdemona. I mean,
We're
The
here
hardest
for
thing
it.
is that y'all laughing until he brings me in there. It's like,
No, he's like, I'm
let's get
serious.
this done. You know, our last project was like that, you know, where it's like an idea, and then afterward he's like, oh, so what are you doing at the top of the year? And then he shows up at my house, and we're halfway through it, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. You know, so yeah, don't be surprised.
Okay, we're looking out for it. But there's nothing that sort of comes to mind when you think, oh, this is what
I tell you what, we really enjoy whatever opportunity we get to do things together. We jump at it, and that much I can say. And it's organic as possible. It just, if there's an opportunity that we could work together, whether it be a television show, a skit, a piece of music, we jump at the opportunity because we both get satisfaction from it, from just being together and laughing. We're just laughing and having a good time. We have a real great team of people, and you know, Tracy Martin, Paul, and of course, the Bandoliers are here. These guys are amazing, and they live here too. We got Jerry in the house. And but it's a great family. It's a great. We support each other. It's fun, and I have learned so much from Sting. Sting was instrumental in my confidence, because there was a time in my life where when you're doing music, and you know, when you get dropped by labels and stuff like that, you get to a point where you start to second guess yourself, and you started to feel, you know, and then there'll be people in your team that, you know, they'll try to dumb you down to make themselves feel better, you know. And when I started making music with Sting would push me to do things that I would never do on my own, and I wouldn't even, if I even mention it to other people, they're like, are you fucking crazy? That, you know. But he'll be like, no, you could do this, and you're great at that. And so when you look at a guy like that, like this, that has accomplished so much, and then he's giving you that kind of a rating and really believing in you like that, that does a lot for your self-esteem. And he makes me do things that I would never in a million years try to do, you know. And when I resist most of the time, and then he'll, you know, be showing up and pushing me to do it, sometime with a knee in my back, you know. And then when I'm done and I'm listening to it, I'm like, wow, shit, that really sounds good, you know. And so he's been good at
Yeah, I think we all need someone to believe in us.
That's not a metaphor when he describes my knee in his back.
Yeah, that is true.
That's actually on film.
I was going to
I
ask.
have my knee in the small of his back. I'm pulling his shoulders back. Open your chest, man, when you sing. Instead of all this rapping shit. Open.
But you
Sing, damn it, sing!
I want those lungs working.
But you encouraged him to sing, right? Because you weren't comfortable with that. And is that what you're talking about in particular? Is you singing on the records?
Yeah, I sang, but I wasn't confident to do it in front of people or whatever. You know, I would do backgrounds on my own stuff or whatever it is. But he would hear me and be like, "You should do this or you should do that," you know. And even in the last project, he heard me and was like, "Wow, you could do this," and pushed me to that. So, and when you're doing it now, you're realizing, "Oh my, wow, this is really good." You know, I remember we was at my studio in Miami, and my wife was passing by, and he's like, "Come and listen to this." And he brought her in there, and she's like, "Who's that?" You know, but it was so good, and he's really good at that, and you know, I'm happy of our union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your union.
It is a union. Yeah.
Yeah, it is now.
We're kind of a thing right now.
You are.
Yeah.
You are.
Our wives are beginning to suspect something.
It's okay. So did you just see something in Shaggy that he hadn't done before, and you were like, I have to really, you know, help him to like open that up, or is that how you are?
It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
You know, I envy him his spontaneity. In sound checks, we'll be jamming, and he's rapping, you know, extempore, what's the word? Freestyle.
Oh, freestyle. Yeah.
Improvising. And I'm thinking, God, I can't do that. I sit at home and I work it, but I want to be able to do that. So
Maybe he can help you with
me.
it. Shaggy.
But he gets a kick out of it. That's part of our fun part on sound check. By the way, he's the only person that does sound check every single day, like clockwork, over and over.
Wait, you're furrowing your brow. Do you think
I don't do sound check every day. On my tour, we already got it. Fuck it.
Well, Sting, why do you feel like you have to sound check? Do you just sort of put you in a...
He's crazy.
Oh.
No, I love
just
it.
Comfort. Oh, because you
I
just
love
love
sound checking.
Yeah.
And it's good for my crew. They need to know what the building sounds
They
like.
do it every day.
Right.
Yes, every building is different, Shaggy.
That's true. Every building is
But
different.
that's for the engineer. I get it. I get it for the engineer, but it's every day. But I'm saying most artists that I know, like I've been on many tour, a lot of them just don't show up. Like, you know, the crew is there, the band is there, and they'll do it. But he is there every single day. And so when I go to sound check with him, because I'm there every day, we play around. We make up songs, and you know what I mean? And by the way, he's there every day, but he's changing something.
Oh.
He's changing something.
Is that just to keep the spontaneity in the live show?
I'm always looking for fresh information within the song. And, you know, I'm not there to reproduce a record that was made 20 years ago. I'm there to make it new. Mm-hmm. So that takes a little time and opportunity to make it work.
Yeah, and a sound check sometimes.
Yeah, no, sound check too.
Also, you know, something may have gone wrong last night, you know, a little detail, you can fix that. And you work through it. Yeah. Change a key, change a tempo, change the arrangement entirely.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just a sidekick. I don't do all that. I got that chittabang, and I'm good.
You bring Shaggy, Sting brings Sting. That's why it's a beautiful thing. I'm not even a rapper, and I just bars, just spitting bars over here in Ocean Way. Well, I just want to thank you, gentlemen, so much for being here, for chatting. What an absolute pleasure for me. I really tried to keep it together, but I'm absolutely fangirling over you both, literally. I feel like I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful to have had this opportunity because you're Shaggy and you're Sting. Just saying. I have to admit how I'm feeling, and that's sort of.
I think
how
it's
I live
great
my
for
life.
us to be in Music City. You know, the music community here is so supportive of. You support each other. I did a show here about 2 months ago, and I realized that everyone in that place can play better guitar than I do.
Yeah, everyone is talented in the city.
That's you know, that's high pressure, but it's great to be here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question in the audience that they're just dying to ask?
My wife has one question for Sting.
Okay.
She wants to know who killed Bunny. Only murders in the building.
Oh my gosh, he's talking about, we talked about this, so only murders in the building. And I hope I'm not telling too much, but Sting has yet to see the episode he's in. So,
No, I'm
I
serious.
know, because, he's just not that person, not like me. But his wife was asking if you knew who actually the murderer was.
I did not commit that murder.
He's such a good actor.
Here he goes again on the wasn't me shit. See?
He doesn't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was waiting to ask him a question, and my wife bogarted my question.
Well, what's your question? Don't tell me.
I wanted to know about Kenny Kirkland and all those. I said, if I travel around the country, I take his music and Aretha, and that's it.
Wow.
Kenny Kirkland and Omar, played with Omar, those guys that were back in Europe, and Daryl, and just that record.
I've been lucky enough to work with some of the greatest musicians on the planet. That's how you learn. You get musicians who are way better than you. And I've been very, very fortunate my whole career working with the best musicians. Very fortunate. Thank you. God bless Kenny Kirkland. Yeah.
Yes, hi.
Sting, I really enjoyed the last shift. Thought it was great.
Thank you.
How was that experience for you?
Probably the most difficult and the most satisfying adventure of my musical life. To do a musical play is enormously difficult. Each song has to forward a narrative. It's not just a moment in time where you're expressing an emotion. You have to tell the story within that song. The story cannot stand still for 3 minutes while you bleat. So that is a very cruel and very demanding, exacting discipline, and your songs can be cut in an afternoon. Your favorite couplets can just be thrown out of the window. But you learn to kill your babies willingly. Because the end result of having a theater full of people loving your story is a fantastic thing. I recommend it. It's tough, but I recommend it.
He's a glutton for punishment. Hi.
I can't believe I'm addressing you. You've spoken a handful of times, both in broken music and in interviews, about your experiences with psychedelics and ayahuasca and things.
With who?
With
Psychedelic and ayahuasca.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard you talk about how those experiences have affected the way that you create and your songwriting and artistry and all of those things. What, if anything, came out of it?
Have you taken these substances? Okay. I took 2 psychedelics in the past, say, 30 years. I took them in the jungle with people who've been taking them in a ritual fashion for thousands of years with shaman. And it's probably one of the most terrifying things I'd ever done. At the same time, opening me up to more possibilities than just our material world. And, I was brought up in the church, but I really only paid lip service to the idea of the Godhead. But these substances do expose you to a kind of spiritual vertigo, which I suppose has affected my creative life in a positive way. I'm not recommending anyone does it. I did it, but I find it has been very therapeutic for me. Yep.
I tell him I was going to do it, and he says, don't. There's a lot of shit in it.
Well, you're purging, right? I think that's what they say, you're purging.
Purge.
Yeah. I've never done it. I'm just saying, for the record, because this is being recorded. My mom's like, what? Sorry. God, I'm going to get myself in trouble. Yes, sir.
My name is Major. Hey, everybody.
Big up me a job.
Big up me a job.
So, one, I want to say great job. Nashville chapter, salute to you. I come from LA chapter. Chrissy, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Joe is one of my buddies. I write with him a lot. Joe Sumner.
My son.
Yeah.
Ah.
Shaggy, I have a question. You happen to be a featured artist on a song that has changed my life called Why I Love You. This is why I love you. And you literally did the feature. but as much as I can brag, they're like, were you in the same studio? And I'm like, no, we weren't. He recorded it somewhere. Where were you? So I can tell the story and it can seem believable.
It was probably at my studio in Long Island.
Say less.
Yeah. Yeah. Ranch Studio. I've since gotten. That's the studio that I've done almost all my hits. It wasn't me. Angel. All my big records were done there. It was a house I had for years, and I literally just sold it about a year ago.
Nice.
Because I had to get out of New York.
Long Island.
Yeah, Long Island.
Why I Love You feature for Major.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you know who bought the house? Because there's a lot of good.
A preacher.
A lot of good energy in there. Oh.
A preacher, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm very fascinated. We have a couple more, maybe one question. Okay. Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Grew up on Sting. Shaggy were the soundtrack to my teenage years, and now I represent a couple of emerging artists. So, what would you guys say to a young artist who wants to stand out from the noise?
Okay. I have a couple of my children who are singers, songwriters. And I say to them, it doesn't matter how many records you sell. It doesn't matter how many tickets you sell. Music is its own reward. And they say, well, Dad, you can say that. You know, you've sold millions of records. And I agree with them, but it's still the truth.
I agree with them.
Music is its own reward.
Yeah. So everything else is just.
And for me, it's really the only thing I could do well. You don't want to see me kick a ball. I kind of suck at, everything else, but, I do that pretty well. And I get so much satisfaction for it. And I am wouldn't, in that sense, I would do it for free. I would do it for absolutely free. Thank God I don't have to. But I would. Yeah.
She's like, I need to pay my bills. Yeah. So just do it because you love it.
Just, it's sheer love, man. It fulfills you and, gives me a purpose to wake up every morning.
Yeah. You leave a thumbprint on the world. Well, that's a beautiful way to end this conversation. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. Thanks for the questions. Thank you.